And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. On this, as we're live on Wednesday night, but as you well know, with podcasts, you can view it forever. I see somebody already has a comment, the King's Court. Well, I don't know if it's the King's Court, but it is what we try to have is fun. And there's some serious conversation, and there's going to be some serious conversation about situation with the Phillies, and we'll deal with that. And then Donté Stallworth is going to join the program. 10-year NFL pro, former Eagle. Let me tell you that the Howard Eskin Show is presented by Stillwell Financial Advisors. You got some money that you want to invest and you want somebody really, really good to do it, Jeff Stillwell is the guy. Stillwell Financial Advisors. He knows his stuff. Great guy. Understands your needs when you talk to him. Just a regular guy. I've spoken to him. I understand, and you will too. Here's his number, 732-343-0813. On the show tonight, obviously we're going to talk to Donté Stallworth. And interesting career, 10-year career. And there was a time there, a part of that 10 years was with the Eagles. But also there's some situations I don't understand in the NFL. I'm going to talk about that. There's a few serious issues with the Phillies. We're going to talk about that after Donté Stallworth. And we're going to announce our winner of the Oakley sunglasses, who needed to answer 2 questions, and we'll do that. And we will have another nice prize to give away tonight. When you listen to the Donté Stallworth conversation, I'm going to take a question out of his conversation, or I'm going to have a question out of his conversation, and then you're going to submit that to my website. Listen carefully to the conversation with Donté Stallworth. And you have to have it in your answer by midnight on Friday, June 13th, and we will announce the winner, and you will win a Chickies and Pete's gift certificate used all over the area and in other parts of the country. All right. I also want to thank our fine partners, sponsors, and that would be Audi of Westchester, Piazza Property Pros, and Cut the Cord with Jason. But what I want to do now is I want to tell you about a really, really, I looked at the numbers. This is a really good offer that Audi Westchester is extending to you, the listeners of the Howard Eskin Show. Right now at Audi Westchester, you can lease a new 2025 Audi A3 Quattro for only, get this number, $439 a month, or that's only $439 a month, or a 2025 Audi A5 Sportback for only $529 a month. All you need is $2,500 down, plus taxes and registration fees to lease a new 2025 Audi A3 or Audi A5 Sportback for 36 months, 7,500 miles per year. Stop by Audi Westchester, see all their cars. I mean, they're not the only vehicles that they have. Located at 1421 Wilmington Pike. And don't wait, this special offer won't last long, and it is a special offer. Lease a new 2025 Audi A3 for only $439 a month, or a new 2025 Audi A5 Sportback for $529 a month. Check it out, AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. Also, now, you've waited too long to get your pool. I mean, you want to take care. You want to have fun in the summer, right? I mean, I've seen some of the pools that Piazza Property Pros have built on people's properties. Amazing work. They do amazing work. They do my landscaping. They'll do my pool maintenance. They're going to do it all for you, not just for me, for you. Piazza Property Pros. They are experts. 25 years of experience. They specialize in so many other things that will make your property fun and you'll enjoy it. They don't subcontract, and that's important too. Whether it's landscaping, fencing, pool maintenance, Piazza Property Pros. Give them a call and they'll work within your budget. 610 566 2608. That's 610 566 2608. Or on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. And you want to save money on your cable? You can do that by cutting the cord and do it with Jason. An incredible service, save you money. He'll come out to your house, cut your cable off, set you up with less expensive internet service, streaming services, which include our local and national channels. You'll also get to see all the Philadelphia pro games, and you can watch your podcast if you have the proper TV, and most people do now, the podcast on your television, on YouTube, and we're on all the social media platforms. Jason will set you up and save you lots of money. Here's his number, 215-801-5858. All right. Interesting guy. I've known him for years, and I happened to see him last Friday at Ron Jaworski's celebrity golf outing. And Ron does a great job with his people, raises a lot of money. Donté Stallworth joining us on the show. Hey, brother, how are you?
Good, Howie. How you doing, brother?
Hey, another day in paradise for me. You know,
Yes, sir.
paradise is what you make it. We always remember that. Paradise is what you make it. Dante, the first thing I will ask you, I don't have to ask you, but I will. What are you doing with your time these days? What are you doing?
So I've been doing some writing, something I've always wanted to do. Even as a kid, I used to write plays. I used to like narrate our school plays. So I've always kind of been someone that's loved writing. I think football initially kind of stunted everything else that I wanted to do because I was so involved with it. But at the end of my career, I started to think more about the things that I was passionate about as a kid, and so that was a number of things. But one of those things was writing, which is exactly what I did after retirement. I moved to Washington D.C. and started working for the Huffington Post, where I was covering national security and foreign affairs and domestic politics.
Really?
And I've kind of continued down that path. I don't work with the Huffington Post anymore, but I've been freelancing a lot. And something that I want, like I said, something I want to do is write a little more. And I may have a book or so here in the works pretty soon. So
Mm.
that's something that's interesting, something I've always wanted to do. So that's been writing a lot, been working on some stuff with the league office. It's been a good time. It's been a good time. Been able to kind of use my powers, my voice, my resources, and network for good. So that's something that was always important to me.
You know what? There's two questions I have out of what you just said. Do you remember the play that you helped write in school, and what level of school was that?
Uh, I don't
Was
remember
it
the play that I helped to write, but I know that whenever we would have auditions and tryouts, I never wanted to be the actor. I never wanted to be the one on stage. I always wanted to be the narrator, kind of controlling and directing
right?
everyone, which makes total sense. Because I've always, especially as a young kid, I was always an introvert, and funny to hear an a former NFL player say, but I hated being in the spotlight. And even when I played in the NFL, I didn't really like it much, but it's something that, like I said, I can kind of come back to now is writing, and who knows, I may write another play down the line somewhere.
Okay, what do you do? I guess it's not a lot, but what do you do with the league office or with the NFL?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I've done. I've worked with the NFL, specifically the league office, kind of delegated each individual club to hold their own symposiums because with the rookies, because it used to be where all of the rookies would go to Ohio. I know, back in the Ice Age when I was playing in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, we
I
um,
say,
we
I
went to
say.
the we went to Los Angeles, and then shortly after I retired, or towards the end of my career, they were taking them to Ohio so they could go and see the Hall of Fame there and kind of
Right.
get a good respect for the game and what they're stepping into as young professional adults. So I've been doing that for 10, 15 years now, and it's something, it's the kids are much different today. The young players are much different today than they were when I was playing. But we all relate to one thing, and that's football. And so we speak the same language. And I just try to when I speak to them, I try to be as honest as I can, and they can spot BS from a mile away, just like I could when I was sitting in their chair. So you don't want to go in there talking to them and telling them, hey, don't do this, don't do that. You should do this, you should do that. You just share your story, and you hope that it resonates with them. And for the most part, I think it does. And I've gotten some great feedback from the players, coaches, and from like front office guys. So, like I said, it's something that I really enjoy doing, and I hope to continue that for a long time.
You know what? It doesn't seem like it's as easy to talk to today's players. I've covered uh, many years of sports in Philadelphia, obviously,
Mhm.
and I noticed the difference in whether it's the attitudes or the players. It's just now social media changes because everybody's all over the place with social media. But how much different is it with today's players? And you said there's a lot of the guys that are receptive, and a lot of guys, those are probably third, fourth, and fifth round picks. But the guys that are taken in the first two rounds, you think, well, I'm all that. And maybe they have a little bit of an attitude. How much different is it now than it used to be?
I think it is different, and you mentioned social media and all that. Obviously, has a significant impact on the game today. But I'm always reminded of before I condemn these young men to being so different that they're going to ruin the league, or that the league is going to lose some of its luster because of it. I'm always reminded of how the world thought about the 1960s and the 1970s with the kids then, Woodstock and all that, and how these kids were actually obviously different, totally different situations. But I'm always reminded of that. It is what it is. Howie, we are, you and I, we're the old folks that are getting pushed out, and the young folks are taking over, just like we did when we were of age. So, you just try to, you can't fight it, right? So you try to adapt to to what it is their lifestyle is, and try to meet them on their level, so they can really be receptive of the message that you're trying to carry on to them. Because I think at the end of the day, like I said, our language is the same. We both speak football, and they obviously will respect and recognize the fact that you've sat in those seats before, and you have a perspective of not only as a player, but as a former player and someone who sees the game with binoculars now, as opposed to being down on the field. You get to see it from a bird's eye view with everything that it entails, and not only that, but the wisdom of being removed from the game and seeing how that lifestyle is. And I think they respect that. If not, honestly, because of the fact that social media, and they understand that this game doesn't last forever. When I was drafted, I thought I was going to be like Jerry Rice and play 20 years. I don't know if that was ever my goal, but it never. I was never thinking about what my career would be after football, because football was my life. Football was everything. And I think today's young men, and in general, young people, they understand that they are not what their careers, what their professional sports kind of show them to be. They are a full person. They have aspirations and dreams outside of their respective sport. And I think how we sometimes that can get lost on us older folks, as they're not committed to the game, or they're not as committed as guys were 20, 30 years ago. And I'm not sure if that's true. Obviously, there's a lot more distractions today than there was when I was playing just 20 years ago. But I think if you look at a lot of guys around the league, a lot of them are really focused on their craft, and focused on performing more than they are for performing for social media.
You know what? Athletes, uh, obviously, you had skills with speed or in your hands or whatever it was as a wide receiver. But not everybody is going to, who goes through high school and comes through college, is going to be able to make the NFL. So I don't know, when you talk to these guys, whether you preach hard work, responsibility. I mean, that's the real world. Athletes can kind of overcome some of that stuff if you have the physical skills. But I remember last year, I got an honorary doctorate from a college in Wilmington, Goldie Beacom College, and I was the commencement speaker. And the one thing I tried to do, and this is just, and I'm mentioning this to see how you relate to the athletes, and these are just graduates, not just, they graduated college, which is pretty good. I tried to express what I went through, and hard work, responsibility, And those are the kind of things in life, whether you're an athlete or not, are important. Now, when athletes have skills, is that as easy to put forth to a player when you speak to them at a symposium, when they know that they have skills and they say, oh, yeah, well, I have skills? I mean, is it a little more difficult?
Yeah, I think you just you have to just learn what it is that they really care about. And I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to be successful and that are sitting in that room. They want to be successful. So you try to find something that they can relate to, the keys to success, or what you've experienced as the keys to success, not just for you personally, but the people that you've been around. I've had the blessed opportunity to be around a lot of great players over the time of my career. Great players, great coaches, great management, and you try to take lessons from everyone. You try to understand, see them who they are, what makes them tick, what drives them to be the best that they can
Mm-hmm.
be, what drives them to be the best. Period. And think all of those things resonate whether you're an athlete or whether you're someone that's going to work in corporate America or whether you're going to have a blue collar job. I think all those things resonate. All of those messages, specifically what you talked about, right? But I think one thing missing that people forget that's very important. Obviously, skills are important. Um, Being able to work with others as well is important, but uh, one of the things that's really overlooked to me is just don't be an a-hole, right? Like you think about how many a-holes you've worked with in your entire life, or
Yes.
maybe have seen. We all have,
Yeah.
regardless of what profession you've lived in,
Right.
worked in, wherever you've lived. We've all experienced those people, and no one they don't get along with no one. No one really likes an a-hole. So it's something that I saw in my football career. And honestly, like, I had played 10 years. I had a pretty decent to slash good career. But I think one of the things that I'm probably most proud about when as being removed from the game as long as I've been and still having these relationships with all these different organizations. Um, I mean, for instance, Philadelphia Eagles, right? I played there 1 year. I was there I got there a couple weeks before the season started, and I was out once the season was over. And I loved my time there, and I had a great time there. And I still, have a lot of friends on that team, the organization, and the city. And I think a lot of that is due to me not being an a-hole. So that's one of the things that I definitely preach to them is, um, be yourself, be who you are, unless you're an a-hole, then don't be that. Try to find something else that you can be to kind of get you out of that category because no one wants to work with them. They don't last long. They don't.
All right. So here's what I'm going to ask this. And you've always been a straight shooter. By the way, I never remembered you being introverted when I was in the locker room and I had to talk to you. I guess, you deal with the media and you answer the questions. But I always try to get to know people as people and not just,
Hmm.
hey, what happened on the field and why did you drop that ball and what happened on this? The hell with that.
Right.
I like to know them as people. But
Right.
if you were with the Cleveland Browns, and you saw a fifth round draft pick have a Rolls Royce delivered to the practice facility and painted in the Browns colors, what would your thoughts be? Obviously I didn't bring up a name, but we all know who I'm talking about. He gets that from his father, but nonetheless, don't you have to connect with people? I'll go back to the original question. What would your thoughts have been? Who the hell does this guy think he is? But I want you to answer the question. What would your thoughts have been?
If I'm not mistaken, I remember Tom Brady telling him to his face when he had a Rolls Royce in college, asking him, "What the hell are you doing with that thing?" Um, and for Brady was also a fifth or sixth round pick, but
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have the NIL money. He didn't have any of the hype coming out of
Right.
college, right? And I think I don't know. I've always been one that optics are very important, regardless of if he could be he could be the best teammate that they have there, right? Like I don't know that. I'm not there in that locker room. I'm not there to share what they share in the meeting rooms on the football field. But I'm a big believer in optics and what they can the message they convey.
Yes.
And it's not the greatest message to convey, but at the same time, some people, whether right or wrong, that's who they are, and being themselves helps them be better or be themselves on the football field. So if that's the case, listen, if it happens all the time, right? If he goes out and at some point becomes a starter and is the franchise quarterback, no one will be talking about this, maybe be laughing at it, down the line. But if things don't work out and they spiral, then this is going to be one of the things that people will say that contributed to the downfall, or at least the mindset of not being aware of the optics and kind of taking the situation seriously.
Well, to help him be better, you got to have your offensive line really. I
Yeah,
mean, that's a tough job. Your
yeah,
back every once in a while has to pick up a block. I mean, they have to work for you to make you better. And if they say, you know what, I'm not going to kill myself for this guy,
yeah,
you know, that those kind of things can happen. You got to be one of the guys. I just don't understand it, and I don't know. Hey, listen, he could be at someday a great quarterback. Could be. I don't know, but he's got to. It might take another team for him to do that. But
yeah,
don't you have to get those guys on your side because you're the quarterback? You are the leader of your football team. I mean, you always had to respect the quarterback, didn't you? When you played for a team, the quarterback was the man. You always had, hey, oh, you need me to do this? Absolutely, no problem. Isn't that the way it should be?
yeah, yeah. I think quarterbacks, regardless if you're a rookie or an 8-year vet, you always automatically command the position of authority in the huddle, right? And
Mm-hmm.
whether you want it or not, that's just what it is. Like I said, I don't really know what's going on in the locker room. Who knows? But I do know that at the very least, he's got a good veteran to learn from, Joe Flacco. And I know Joe said he's not there to be a mentor, and I don't. I actually didn't take that in a negative sense. I took that as he's
Right.
just going to be one of the guys. He'll teach him here and there, but he's not going to be in his ear like, "Hey, do this, do that," because that could become annoying. I think what Joe meant, not to kind of take his words for out of context, but I think and knowing Joe, like playing with Joe and knowing the kind of person that he is,
Good guy.
he's not gonna pull a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, right? He'll help those guys when he feels they need it or when they ask for it. He won't shun them at all. But again, you know, this is something that uh, it's going to be talked about. If things don't go well for him, they're going to say this is what happened from the beginning, and they'll point to that and say like he wasn't taking it serious from the beginning, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, Joe is a good guy. I mean, I got to know him. He's from the area here, and I got to
Yeah.
know him.
Yep.
Got to know his dad. His dad introduced himself to me when they were in the Super Bowl. That was, I believe, in New Orleans when they were in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Where did you play with? Where did you play with Joe Flacco? Did you play? You
I was
said
in Baltimore in 2010. Yeah, I was there in
okay.
2010. I think it was Joe's third year, which subsequently was also Harbaugh's third year as well. Because
Uh,
that I got to Baltimore because of Harbaugh, and our
uh,
connection in Philadelphia. So which is funny because I didn't play down a special teams that entire season, but Harbaugh and I were extremely close. And when it was time for me to come out of free agency or go into free agency, I should say, he really vouched for me and was a big reason why I ended up in Baltimore in 2010.
yeah, great person, great coach,
Yeah,
but a great person. I'm friends. I'm friends with Harbaugh too because
yeah,
of his years here in Philadelphia.
yeah,
I'll tell you, quick story, and it's not about me, but it's kind of funny. When he was a special teams coach, when I was in high school, I caught punts from my friend was the punter. So after practice he would punt the ball and I would catch him. So I know it, and I was a hands catcher. I wasn't, I got it and
yeah.
brought it in, so to speak. So I mentioned that to him. He says, I was doing a show out there. He says, oh, okay, you can do that? Yeah, I can do that. Well, I want you to get out there and do it. So after practice, I got out there. I caught every one of them. Now
Okay, Howard.
it was set off by the jugs machine, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's still
No,
catching
it
a
doesn't
punt.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught every one of them. He says, okay, okay. So,
Wow, you
kind
proved
of
him
funny.
wrong. That's
Yeah, that's
hilarious.
kind of funny. I mean, I have a story with Andy Reid, with all these different coaches.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of, but it's fun.
Yeah.
That's what's fun. You get to know a guy, and he says,
Yeah.
"Okay, you can do that. All right, get out there."
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so I was working with a guy, and I said, "All right, I'm going to go out there. You do the show for a while until I get back, and I'm going out there, and I'm going
That's
to catch
hilarious.
one." That's funny. All right, so
Yeah.
now let's talk about your career. You played 10 years in the NFL. Uh, uh, 4 years with New Orleans. You were a first round pick. I believe you were the 13th pick in the first round. So you were obviously you were a good player to be for a wide receiver, especially back then to be taken 13th. You must have been a good player, speed, whatever. Um, was it? How much different was it to enter the NFL? You come in as a rookie. You're a hot shot because you're a first round pick. And what was it like when you went to New Orleans? Now, I think it was your second year that you really had a good year. The first year, I don't think you did as much, but you probably remember more than I do.
Yeah, it was actually flipped because I think my second year I missed a ton of games. I had a high ankle sprain that kept me out for a number of weeks, and I pulled my
Okay.
hamstring shortly before that. That kept me out an additional few weeks. So my rookie year actually, I think I broke the Saints rookie record for touchdown catches in a season, and I tied or broke the all-time record for most consecutive games and first games in the NFL with a touchdown catch or something like that. But I had a pretty productive year. Now, at the same time, I had Joe Horn on the other side and Jerome Pathan in the slot and Deuce McAllister in the backfield. So we had some pretty good weapons on that offense. So it wasn't like I was catching the brunt of the coverage in the secondary.
Mhm. All right. So you come to the Eagles after, I don't know if you consider it your best season, but you had 70 catches for New Orleans. Okay. You come to the Eagles in 2006, or, well, wait, in,
Yeah,
yeah,
2006.
it's 2006. What was it like? It's you traded. You're 4 years with your team that drafted you. What was it like when you got traded to the Eagles?
It was interesting. I think at that time I was a little immature, and could have done some things better in New Orleans. And once Sean Payton got there, he was very um, very in tune to the team that he wanted and the kind of guys that he wanted. And I didn't fit that profile. And again, admittingly my fault. I was a little immature back in those days. And so they traded me to Philadelphia, and I was actually excited. I didn't want to leave New Orleans, but I was excited for a new opportunity, and I was excited to, go to Philly. I mean, you know, playing for the Eagles, playing in front of the Philadelphia fans, and having Donovan McNabb as my quarterback. Team was a year or so, 2 years removed, I believe, from the Super Bowl. So it was
Yep.
exciting. It was exciting. It was Donovan and I got off on the same page right away. We worked a lot together, even though it was only 2 weeks, I think 2 or 3, maybe 3 weeks before the season started when I got there. But Donovan made sure that he and I got together on off days and went into the facility, just he and I, and through, so he could get used to my speed and my routes and my indicators. And yeah, we opened up the season in Texas against the Houston Texans, and won that game. So that was a fun season for me. That was People always ask me, which organization was my favorite, and it's hard to say because each organization, each time, each place that I was at kind of served a different role in my life and in my career. But man, I can honestly say that after my contract was up, my rookie contract was up, when I had gotten traded to Philly, I was like, I definitely wanted to re-sign with the Eagles. I was a little sad that didn't work out, but I ended up in New England. We had a good year that year, and I got to learn from Tom Brady and Randy Moss and all those guys over there. So that was fun too. But Philadelphia was and always will be like one of my favorite places ever.
All right. So Donovan only played 10 games, and I forget what the
Yeah,
injury was. All right.
ACL.
And then I've got a piece of video here, and I'm sure you remember the play. Jeff Garcia was the quarterback. Here, let's roll that play.
Shotgun. Just two receivers. He needs the protection. Back Goes Garcia. He rolls left. He looks. He is going deep for Stallworth, who's racing. Has it at the 20. He's at the 15, the 10-5. Touchdown! Donté Stallworth! 75 yards, and the noise suddenly stops. You get the protection you need. Jeff Garcia moves, buys a little more time, and he just heaves that ball as
So it's Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. Now, Jeff Garcia didn't have a strong arm. And that's no secret. He'd be the first to admit it. So you beat their. Did you? We don't see you in early in that play. You must have did something to leave that receiver, the defender, in the dust there, because you had some yards on him. You were wide open for Jeff
Yep.
Garcia. You remember the play?
Yeah, it was a double move. It was a come back and go. And we knew that if we got them in cover one or cover three, that we could really, if we really sold those comebacks, those DBs from the Saints who were my teammates, a few months before that, for years, right? I knew these guys like the back of my hand, just like they knew me. And we that game though, that was a fun touchdown, but that game, it was weird, man, because I felt like we had the team to really go deep in the playoffs that year and to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, the Saints were coming. We were coming. Well, the Saints were coming off of the Hurricane Katrina season, and they were hosting their first divisional playoff game. And I remember walking off that field like despondent because we had lost the playoffs, and it was my first year, first time in the playoffs as a NFL player. I might have been. I think it was my fifth season. But eh, I don't know if you want to call losing the playoffs bittersweet, but uh, if I had to lose to a team, then I was glad that it was the Saints. Everything that they had been through, everything that we had been through, especially the year before during that Katrina season, it was really tough to see your city underwater and to see, your fans kind of be
Right.
strewn all over the country, and it was a tough time for us. So I was happy to see them have the success that they did that season. Just unfortunate that it came against
Yeah, I
us.
mean, obviously, if Donovan had been there the whole year, things may have been a little different. But Jeff Garcia did a nice job when he was here. I mean, he
Yeah.
did a nice job. Good guy, and
Yep.
he had his success in the NFL. There's obviously a difference
Mhm.
between Donovan McNabb and Jeff Garcia. Donovan could really, had a strong arm and could throw the ball. So
Yep.
that was probably a little bit of an adjustment for you as well, right? Between McNabb and Garcia when you caught the football.
Yeah, I would say, but also too, I think one of the things I said I'll never forget. It was my first presser when we beat the Texans in Houston, and everyone in the media room, because I spoke to the media after I was at the podium, and everyone was asking me, how is it adjusting to Donovan's uh the way Donovan throws, and like how important has the relationship been with you and Donovan? And I told him, I said, I have the easy job. I just have to run my route and get open. Donovan is the one that has to read my indicators. He has to understand my speed. He's the one that has a difficult job. So I think as a pass catcher, you try to understand what kind of balls that the quarterback throws, what velocity on the ball, what kind of spin, right hand, left hand quarterback, all those things matter. But at the end of the day, when the ball is in the air, you've got to catch it regardless of who's throwing it. So for me, it was always on me and not necessarily. I'm sorry, it was always on the
Yep.
quarterback who had the most difficult job, and it was just on me to catch the passes when they
All
threw them.
right. So you played in New England, and it was the a year, and I was not a Patriots fan because, and then we found out that they cheated. Did you know they were cheating when you were there?
It's funny because that happened after the first game of the season, and we had no idea, and I think a lot of the players on that team took it personal because they felt like, and you know how it is, how when you're on a team, you have that
Yeah.
me against the world mentality, no matter what it is, right? And so I felt like a lot of the players on that team felt like the fans maybe and media were invalidating their success, through this scandal. And so for me, I wasn't there, so I kind of didn't care about it. I just came to play football. But I do remember, and to be honest, like Belichick coming in that next morning and basically saying, you know, we essentially saying, not verbatim, but essentially saying that we didn't break any rules. We kind of bent some rules. Um, and that's it. Like I'm not talking about it. No one else was talking about it, and I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear any of you talking about it. And for me, that was good enough. I mean, hell, we the next week we had to play the San Diego Chargers, who we ended up playing in the AFC Championship that season. It was a very good team. So honestly didn't care about any of it, and I wasn't going to get on Belichick's bad list by speaking about it to the media. So I just it kind of went out of my memory, to be honest. But I do remember that season. A lot of the players, like I said, who had been there, who had been through the successful years, uh, they had taken it personal all year, and I think Belichick did too.
Well,
So,
yeah, but he was found guilty by the NFL, and so was Brady,
yeah,
found guilty of deflating footballs. It's just, and the moment, and I didn't think anything of it, and I've mentioned this before on the show. The Eagles are playing up there. I forget which year it was. Malcolm Jenkins had a pick six. It was like 99 yards. I forget which year it was. So the defender always keeps the football. So brought the football over, and their equipment guy came over and said, "Hey, listen, can we have that football back? We'll give it back to you after the game." Saying, I said, okay. I mean, don't you just let them keep the football? And then it came out after that they were cheating. So that
oh,
football was probably deflated, and they didn't want the Eagles to in any way understand, wait a minute, this football is not fully deflated. Uh, so they took and they gave it back to him after the game, but they took it back after the interception. And the Eagles, of course,
oh
said,
wow, I hadn't heard that.
well, I was standing right there on the sideline. It says, can we have the football? And said,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
would they want the football back? I got plenty of footballs over there.
right.
So that was
Right. Something that didn't register at the time,
new.
but
And
afterward,
then
you're
it
like,
and
wait a
then it all
minute.
came and then it all came out afterwards.
Oh my
But
God.
part of being with the Patriots was the 16-0 regular season. And I was
Yeah.
rooting against them in the playoffs. Not that I was a Giants fan. And
Yeah.
now, I'm friendly with Strahan, and he was part of that defense. Their defense was unbelievable. So it was like 10-10, I
Yeah.
think, until like the last minute when I guess when Manning threw the touchdown pass to Burris. But it was a close game. Brady was just, the pressure was enormous. But
Yeah.
what was it like? That was the game that could have had, and it's the complete season. It has to be undefeated to beat the Dolphins, even though they played less games. What was it like, and how disappointing was it when you walk in there? You don't just lose the game, you lose a part of history by not going undefeated for that season.
Yeah. It was stunning. I think I've said before that you could hear a pin drop on carpet. That's how quiet it was. And honestly, Belichick was speaking after the game. And I don't remember anything he said except for him taking full responsibility and blaming himself, saying that he didn't put us in good enough positions to win the game and that he was sorry. And that was it. And he didn't speak for a long time. He's not, unless he's cursing us out during the meetings the next day after a game, he's not really sitting up there speaking long speeches after the
Right.
game. But I do remember him apologizing and kind of, took the onus on himself, not coaching, but on himself, and apologized for us not winning that game. And it was just extremely somber. I remember, hearing a couple guys throwing up. I remember it was just like the Twilight Zone. It didn't feel like we lost that game, but I know we didn't win.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say, but I had forgotten what it felt like to lose a game. We
Mm.
didn't lose a game all year. So I forgot what it felt like to lose a game, and then to lose the biggest game of the year, I think was even more shocking. And so, um, it was. I didn't even watch highlights uh, of that game. I didn't watch anything for a couple months after, and it's
It was
still
tough.
difficult to kind of look at it and look at the history that could have been, but it was just literally just out of our grasp. It's difficult.
Oh,
It's
you could
tough,
have been.
but that's why we love football
Yeah,
so
you could
much.
have been a part of history. It's just, I want to touch on, and just briefly, you ran track and field in high school. Did you run track and field in high school?
Oh yeah, I did, man. And one of my biggest regrets in sports and all the sports, since I first started playing organized sports or non-organized sports, I should say, even going back to a younger age. Justin Gatlin from the University of Tennessee. I think Justin was a freshman or a sophomore. I think he was a sophomore, and he begged. He was a friend of mine
Hmm.
at the time, and still a good friend of mine. He begged me to come out and run on their relay team, and they needed a strong first leg, and that was my speed. I get to full speed very fast, very quickly, which is how I ran a fast 40 time. So and I didn't do it because I was so focused on football. I didn't want anything, no matter what it was, to come in the way of me being able to practice and perfect my craft as a wide receiver. Because I felt, especially going into my junior season, I felt like that was the year that I put everything together. But if I could go back, I would have at least run during the spring and been on that relay team, because who knows what could have happened. It would have been a lot of fun to run with a guy like Justin Gatlin, who went on to win Olympic gold medals.
Interesting career and part of it. And I hope you're not uncomfortable with me asking it. You missed a year because of personal
Mm.
violations. Now, at this point, I'm sure it's easier for you to deal with and think back at how difficult was it for you with the NFL? It was what was it? Personal contact violations, what they called it, and you were suspended for a year. How difficult was it for you for that year, and then to come back the following year and to deal with what was a really, I'm sure, very difficult situation for you?
Yeah, it was tough. I think it was tough because I had never missed an entire season of football since I was playing since the age of 11, and uh, to miss it not due to an injury, but to due to something that could have been 100%
Right.
preventable, my actions. All of that was hard, and then obviously dealing with the death of Mr. Reyes on from that situation was it was difficult. It was hard. It was all things that I had to deal with, but I had a great support system, and I really appreciate the NFL uh, for sticking by me, and specifically the commissioner for seeing me as a person
Yeah.
and not as my worst mistake, but seeing me as a human who made a horrible mistake. Uh, for him to uh, see it that way and to treat me accordingly, I think played a big role in me getting back into playing that following season, obviously. And I built a pretty good relationship with Roger Goodell through that. Interestingly enough, and even today, we still have a pretty good
That's great.
relationship. I go to New York and he meets with me, whenever I'm in town and I want to meet with him.
That's cool.
He's been really instrumental in everything with the NFL. So I appreciated that. And getting back into the league was like football wise, I knew that I was gonna have to work some rust off getting back in. No matter how hard you work, you can't simulate NFL practices. You can't
Right.
simulate NFL training camps. And it's like same thing goes for guys that, not to change the subject, but same thing goes for guys that are holding out a training camp, right? Like you're really only hurting yourself. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You're not gonna be as crisp as you were if you were in training camp. Your muscles aren't doing the same
Right.
things that you would do when you're working on drills, as opposed to when you're running against 7-on-7 defenses or full 11-on-11. It's just a different thing. So I had to work off a little rust, and actually, that following season ended up breaking my foot in the last preseason game, or the third preseason game, and missed the first 6 weeks of the season. So it was a little difficult getting back in, but I felt comfortable, once I was able to, kind of work my way back in, and like I said, despite that, I think one of the things that uh, Harbaugh really vouched for me was knowing what kind of person I was. And, people weren't knocking down the door to get me to sign after that shortly, obviously, but Harbaugh Stuck his neck out there for me and convinced the owner, Mr. Bisciotti, and convinced Ozzie Newsome to give me a
That's
shot,
great.
meet with me as a person and see who I was. And it all worked out. Like I said, I was always grateful for Harbaugh, always grateful for Mr. Bisciotti and Ozzie Newsome for the opportunity, really getting me back into the NFL.
You
Really,
know what? John Harbaugh's that kind of guy. There's a comment that we have
yep,
here that the guy says he wishes you would have stayed longer and maybe you could have helped the Eagles
me too.
get to a Super Bowl. And the fans can be rough, but they can be really good too. Did you find them to be both ways? Uh, tough and embracing.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, I think it was 2003 and 2004 when I was playing for the Saints, back-to-back games in Philadelphia. And one of the things that we went in to the link, wanting to do was to jump on the team early so the fans would jump on the team, like that was a part of the strategy, right? And because you know how passionate the Eagles fans are, the Philly fans are, they're extremely passionate about all of their sports, and especially football. And so when I got there, I realized, like, you know what? As long as I do my job, they're not going to be on me. So let me shut the hell up and, get on their good side by doing my job and stay on their good side because I'm doing a good job. And I tried to do that when I was in Philly, but it's you have appreciation for the fans always. And it's funny because obviously they have this reputation around the league, and around the country as sports fans, and I love it. I was there to experience it and be in the middle of it, and I understand why they're extremely passionate as they are. And so, like I said, I just tried to stay on the good side by doing my job as well as I could.
All right. Well, I appreciate. I'm glad that we connected on Friday. I'm glad that I have been in touch with you at times since
Yep.
you left here in Philadelphia. We've seen each other at different times, and
Yep.
I have fun talking to guys that have fun. And
Yeah.
this was fun for me to talk to you and catch up, and talk about things that we both think back and say, man, that was good. That was good. This was, and the fact that you remember the play is interesting.
Yeah.
Wide receivers never forget a play, never
Right.
forget a play. So
Right.
it's cool.
That might
But
have
I
been my
really,
longest play too, actually. So, or one of my longest plays.
75
So
yards,
definitely,
75
yeah.
yards.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't forget that one. That was special.
All right. Hey, Donté, we'll stay in touch, and I
Yes, sir.
really do appreciate this, and we'll do it again. And I really mean this. I really do appreciate you coming on to the
No
show.
problem.
Thanks so much.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
All right. Thank you. Donté Stallworth. Good guy. Obviously things happen, and you got to overcome the tough times of things happening. And there's some more things that I got to talk about, some real serious stuff, serious and important at the same time. And I'm going to do that. But I'm going to say hello to all my fine partners. And one of them is the person that helps me present this show, and that would be Stillwell Financial Advisors, and that would be Jeff Stillwell. He knows his stuff. Everybody wants to find, especially in today's world, the best ways to invest whatever wealth they have. And Jeff can do it very successful. He's made a lot of people happy, and he can make you happy too. Stillwell Financial Advisors, and Jeff Stillwell's number, 732-343-0813. And also on this fine program, Audi Westchester has stepped it up. They have an offer. It's really hard if you're looking for a vehicle, you're looking for a car, and you're looking for a really good car, a really good vehicle, Audi Westchester can help you out. Right now, limited time offer, special deal for those that listen and watch the Howard Eskin Show. Right now, you can lease a 2025 Audi A3 Quattro, only $439 a month. That's all it is. That is a great price. Or if you want a 2025 Audi A5 Sportback, only $529 a month. Both vehicles are specials for people that listen to the show. All you need is $2,500 down, plus taxes and registration fees to lease the 2025 Audi A3 or the 2025 Audi A5 Sportback, 36 months, 7,500 miles per year. Stop by Audi Westchester. You stop by the new facility. It's fun to stop in here, grab a cup of coffee, something to eat. 1421 Wilmington Pike, Audi Westchester. Special offer, won't last long. Lease a new 2025 Audi A3 for only $439 a month, or a new, they're both new, Audi A5 Sportback, $529. The 2025 models, $529 a month. Check it out, AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. Also, you waited too long to build your pool. Okay, but you have a pool, and I mean, I've seen some of the pools that Piazza Property Pros have built. They are their work is phenomenal. Whether it's building a pool, whether it's pool maintenance, whether it's landscaping, whether it's fencing, hardscaping, whatever it is, 25 years of experience. That's what these people are. And they don't subcontract their people. That's important too. Call Piazza Property Pros. Talk to them. Work out something within your budget. Don't wait any longer. The summer's going to be gone before you know it. 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608. Or check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. That's Piazza Property Pros. They'll make your summer fun. And you want to save money on your cable. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Cut the cord with Jason, and Jason can help you save money. He'll come out to your house, cut off the cable, set you up with less expensive internet service, streaming services, which include all the local and national channels. You get all the Philly pro games. And if you have a second home, you get that too. That's all part of the same bill. No extra charge. Jason will set it up. One monthly TV bill for both houses. For more information and to save yourself lots of money, 215-801-5858. All right, I'm going to have a question from something that Donté Stallworth said, and you will be able to win that Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. But first, let me tell you, the winner of the Oakley sunglasses. Now, that was a little more work because she had questions from two different shows. One of the questions to win the Oakley sunglasses, when Mike Quick was on, what player stopped talking to Mike Quick after he had a criticism of him on the broadcast? Stop talking to him. And you had to answer that. The answer was Terrell Owens. Then also, what team that didn't really spend the money like a lot of they were at the bottom of the list of spending money for what are dummy years to help kind of circumvent the salary cap, as many teams do, not just the Eagles. And what team was the weakest at it? And this was my opinion, just based on the fact that they were very low on the totem pole and they make more money than anybody else, was the Dallas Cowboys. So those were the two answers. Terrell Owens, the Dallas Cowboys, and the winner of the Oakley sunglasses. And I'm glad to see Christina Kane. Christina, thanks for being a listener and watcher of the Howard Eskin show. Christina Kane, you will have your sunglasses coming out. You will get in touch by my website. We'll get an address from you and we'll send it out to you. And thank you. And tonight we're going to have a gift certificate from Chickies and Pete's. Listen for the question coming up. But before I do anything else, I've got to talk about a few things. And Bryce Harper, he's out now probably. We're doing the show on Wednesday. He's out probably until to the end of the weekend. But here's the problem that I see with Bryce Harper. Hey, listen, really, really, really good player. I don't know if he stopped being a good player, if he's a Hall of Famer as we speak right now. I don't think he is. He doesn't have the numbers to be a Hall of Famer. Now, he's got 2 MVPs. I get all that. But here's the issue that I now see with the Phillies. He's been hurt 2 of the last 3 years or 3 of the last 4 years. One of the two. Is it 2 of the last 3 years? 2 of the last 3 years or 3 of the last 4 years he's been hurt. But nonetheless, he's been hurt. He's got $16 million left on his contract in 25, which is not a lot of money by baseball standards, by sports standards. But he's got 6 years left on his contract, which runs through 2031. $144 million left on his contract. And those numbers were given to me courtesy of Spot Rack, which is a great site, I know on Twitter, Spot Rack, to kind of understand what's going on with numbers in sports. When you look at his career with the Phillies, he only had 100 RBI season. That was his first season with the Phillies. That's the only season he had 100 RBIs. You would think he had more than that. No, I'm telling you, I look at his career and he swings so hard, and he's a home run hitter, and I guess that's, he's paid to hit home runs. I worry that he can last those 6 years and be productive. His money, I see a comment here, Bryce is really a problem for sure. And I don't know that people that probably agree with me. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer as we speak right now. Now, that can all change. He gets healthy and he does what he used to do. But I think the Phillies have issues, and they're stuck with that contract for a while. So I wanted to bring up, I really wanted to bring up that point. A couple other things quickly. Flag football in the Olympics for the NFL players, complete joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. We're playing schoolyard football in the Olympics. You're going to tell me you're going to get a gold medal for winning at flag football? It's touch football. It's what we used to play in the streets. That's a joke. A joke. All right. I think that's, the NFL wants to be part of the Olympics. You can't. It doesn't work that way. You can't. I mean, it's a joke. Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a joke. That'll be over halfway through the season. And I'm going to ask a favor of people. If you have any funny videos or good videos you want to send them to me and I use them on the show, whatever it may be, something you see on the internet, whatever it is, I'll give you a prize if I use it. And, I'll come up with a prize to give you. HowardEskin.com, and you can send it to the contact page. All right, here's the question that came out of what Donté Stallworth, and this should be pretty easy if you were listening. And you got to have your answer in to my website, HowardEskin.com, the contact page, to win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. What other sport did he participate in high school? What other sport did Donté Stallworth participate in? That's your question. And if you answer it correctly, and if there's multiple people that have it right, we'll take somebody at random to win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. And there's Chickies and Pete's wherever you are. I'm sure there's a Chickies and Pete's. So I appreciate Donté Stallworth tonight. I appreciate you joining the program, and I appreciate everybody that's out there. One question here. Do you think the Phillies might deal Bryce Harper to the New York Yankees as a DH? Why do the Yankees want Bryce Harper with 6 years left on his contract? By the way, that was Tony. And David, thanks. Howard's looking sharp tonight. Well, I try to look sharp every night, but thank you for the compliment. And thank you for joining the program, The Howard Eskin Show. We'll be back on Saturday. And on Saturday, we'll have the director of fun and games for the Phillies. We're going to have a fun show. And the best friend of the Fanatic, Tom Burgoyne, the best friend of the Fanatic, coming up on Saturday on our show at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Everybody have a great day, a better day tomorrow. And thanks, Night Train 76. Yes, I hope that you think, because I can't say it myself, that I'm still the king. Have a great night, and we'll see you on Saturday.